Embiid bringing new life to Philly. Back for his second game and second win, the Heat and Sixers now tied at 2 apiece, and much of that due to a vintage James Harden performance. Harden hot, putting up 31 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds. That would attribute the turnaround to.
We're getting more confident, as the series goes on. You know what I mean? Like those first 2 games was a blur. But obviously having Joe and having our full team, we kind of know what to expect. We know where to execute on both ends of the ball. It just makes the job a lot easier. Think about it, we're still a fairly new team. We're down to 2 months in. So, when we finally catch a rhythm and finally find something that works, Joe goes out for a couple games. So we're finally settling into the series, and we found some great things that'll work tonight and that we can, capitalize on for Game 5.
Had some great basketball this weekend. Important to mention, folks, Kyle Lowry re-injured his left hamstring. His status unknown for Game 5 in Miami. Stephen A.
Yeah.
Vintage Harden, finally. Is your boy back?
No, I'm not going to go that far. Not yet. In the playoffs, he's shooting, in this series specifically, he's shooting 40% from the field and 34% from three-point range, and that was improved based off of last night's performance. One game does not make a series, and one game does not make an individual. I will tell you, it was great to see it, because when you saw it, the first thing that came to your mind is, oh, so he is still capable of this. He can still do this, because we need to see more of it. We didn't see the separation. We saw some of it last night. We didn't see his ability to make contested three-point shots. We saw that last night. We saw him get into the hole, but more importantly, we saw him being aggressive. He was looking to make things happen. I will remind everybody that since he arrived in Philadelphia, he has not attempted 20 shots in any game as a Philadelphia 76er. That's not something that you expect from a guy that's a 3-time, 4-time league scoring champion, as prolific of an offensive powerhouse as he is. So the fact that we saw that last night, I thought was a big, big deal. But I'm not going to go so far as to say he's back. Let me see you do it in Game 5 at Miami. Let me see you do it back in Game 6 in Philadelphia. Let me see you do it if there is a Game 7.
Okay.
That is when I will make that determination.
JJ, what did that all mean to you?
Stephen A., this is a big moment for you. I just want to acknowledge it.
Okay.
Because I have accused you at times of being a prisoner of the moment. And to see this growth from you, I'm very appreciative of it. No, I think Stephen A. nailed it here. Look, he had 15 straight games where he hadn't had 25 or more. This is only his second 30-point game in a Sixers uniform. I talked about this with Ryan Rucco on the broadcast Friday. So much of what's missing has been that step-back three. He's still struggled in Game 4 from 2, but the 4 step-back threes, that's what we haven't seen in so long from James. I don't think James has to be vintage James for Philly to win this series, though. I don't think he has to score 30 points or take 20 shots because of all the other options they have. Tyrese Maxey, 22 points a game on 50, 40, 90. Tobias is your fourth option, is averaging basically 18 and 8, 50% from the field, 37% from 3. He's been solid all playoffs. So I don't necessarily think James has to do this every game for them to advance.
I agree with that.
It was a welcome sight, though, because we've talked about this now for the past few weeks. Like, when are we going to get one of these vintage James Harden?
We needed to see the aggression, though. We needed to see a dude that wants the ball. Now, he only attempted 18 shots. He didn't attempt, it wasn't like he attempted 25 shots or anything like that. But he hit shots when he counted. And it was with no hesitation. And let's give our man Kenny Smith on TNT props when he said last night, if you're talking about James Harden, 4 seconds are left. I believe that's what he said. Don't think about anything. Attack or dish, or attack or dish. That's what you should be doing. And let's also take a moment to give some love to Tobias Harris in this regard. Tobias Harris was a second offensive option when the season started because Ben Simmons wasn't there and Tyrese Maxey hadn't elevated to this point. Y'all do understand that that Tobias Harris can average 20 anytime he wants to. You do understand that. Let's understand. We get lost in the sauce about him a little bit sometimes. The brother's a legit 6'7", 6'8". He's got a perimeter game. He can finish at the basket. He's got an athletic body. He's got an NBA body. He's strong enough to do these things. The guy went from a second option, not to a third, but to a fourth option. And yet he came in to last night, I believe, was he averaging like 24 a game in this series or whatever, better than 50% shooting. Let's give Tobias Harris some love too. And you're absolutely right. If Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey do what they're capable and what we've seen them do thus far this series, here's where James becomes pivotal. He doesn't have to shoot 25 shots, but he has to be aggressive.
Hold on. This is what I want to know, though. Are you guys now more confident in Philly or Miami?
Let's say what you're going to say.
Well, I just wanted to piggyback on one other James thing, and that's just his response in that press conference where he says, what's been different? And he says, well, we're gaining more confidence as the series goes on. What's been different?
Right.
They have Joel Embiid in the lineup.
Yeah.
That's right.
They didn't have him game 1 and game 2.
That's right.
We saw the value of Joel in game 3. Didn't have a great night shooting the basketball.
Doesn't matter.
Defensively was great.
Yep.
His presence opens up everything.
Right.
And so much of this shooting swing that we saw from game 1, game 2, Philly, to how well they shot in game 3, game 4, is because he was on the floor.
Got you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But now let's get to if the series is shifting, right? Because we felt like people were making their I'm not going to name names, making reservations in Miami.
It was me.
Things like
I already got my reservation.
Things like that are happening.
Okay. Right.
So it's all tied up now.
Well, let me say this.
Who do you have more confidence in?
I still believe in Miami for this series. And let me say this. I got a few text messages last night from the Sixers organization ribbing me because I got a lot of people in there I love. I worked there for 17 years, for crying out loud. I know a lot of people within that organization. They're like, Heat and 5 my ass. That's what they said to me last night via text because I predicted. I said no. I predicted the Heat in 5 if Embiid didn't play. If Embiid did play, I got him in 7. I still got them winning the series, but I will tell you this. It's become very, very interesting, and here's why. I didn't expect to see what I saw from James Harden last night. He's switching now, but I know Philly can win this series now if that James Harden shows up for the rest of the series because I believe in Maxey and I believe in Tobias Harris. I think they're going to do their job, and Joel Embiid is just a superstar, and I think he's going to elevate his level of attitude now that he didn't get the league MVP award. I got a question for you though, because you covered. Which game did you call? You called game 3.
Called game 3.
You called game 3. What the hell is going on? Why is Duncan Robinson not playing for
Miami? I was going to bring this up.
Because I need you to bring. I'm like, the dude getting paid $90 million now. I mean, and listen, Pat Riley and Mickey Harrison and these brothers didn't elect to pay him, and Andy Ellsberg and those boys didn't elect to pay him to be sitting on the bench. The dude ain't playing at all. And I understand he could be a defensive liability, and he ain't the greatest ball handler in the world. But when you have a sniper like him, the guy that's capable of dropping 8 or 9 threes in a playoff game the way he did in the first round, how he's not playing now, I was asking you, is he injured? Is something going on? I don't understand how you can't find. If you're the great Eric Spoelstra, who I believe to be a great coach, how is this dude not playing at all?
So a couple things to that. First of all, prior to this weekend, game 3 and 4 in Philly, the Heat were 20-3 with Max Strus in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
The other thing that happened during that period of time with Strus in the starting lineup is Victor Oladipo came back.
Okay.
And he's given them some really good minutes.
They
probably trust him more as a playmaker and defensively. So I think both of those things are why Duncan is not playing. When we talk about this series, look, there's a number of things you can point to. You can talk about Embiid being back in the lineup. You can talk about vintage Harden. You can talk about Jimmy Butler probably being the best player in this series and all that. But this series really is a swing series based on who's shooting threes.
Yeah.
Who's shooting threes. And you look at what Philly did at home, 32 of 66 from 3 in game 3 and 4, 14 of 64 in game 1 and 2 in Miami. Miami was 14 of 65 from 3 in Philly. So going forward, whether it's another 2 games or another 3 games, whoever makes the most threes probably has the best chance.
Okay, I think Philly's winning it.
I'm gonna get to my pick in a second.
That's what I want.
The other thing I wanted to just point out, and it's a weird development. Joel Embiid, I talk about him all the time.
Okay.
Just his defensive presence and how valuable that is, and him on the basketball court. You basically have the equivalent of a league best defense almost every year.
Okay.
We saw in the first round against Toronto them target him one-on-one as the primary defender. And we saw that again last night. Miami was 12 of 18 with him as the primary defender. Second half, because Miami went small, Joel ended up guarding Jimmy Butler a lot in the half court.
That's
Jimmy
right.
was
Jimmy
5
Butler
for
was,
6.
abusing him.
Oh, abusing him. 5 for 6.
Right.
So that's another thing to watch, I think, throughout the rest of the series is them attacking, not necessarily when he's in that drop coverage, because he's so good there, but as the primary defender. The other thing, Stephen, have you noticed for two teams, like a Doc Rivers team with good defenders,
right,
a Miami team with good defenders, there's been so much zone in this series.
Well, here's the reason why. Let me tell you this. First of all, again, part of it is you want to dare dudes to shoot. That's number one. But number two, and more importantly, you're trying to protect certain people. Like in the case of Joel Embiid, let's understand something. Here's why you attack a Joel Embiid right now, for two reasons. First of all, he's got the thumb injury.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's going to be reluctant to really, really use that. Number two, you said, I don't give a damn what anybody says. Okay, you can wear a mask all you want to. You're going to be sensitive to that eye.
Yeah.
So you got two things that you're sensitive to, right? And so their mentality is attack him. Either he's going to be passive, or he's going to be ultra aggressive and he might get himself in foul trouble so we can get him out of the game and negate their chances. So I think they're thinking along those lines. To get back to your point about Oladipo and Struss, I totally understand that thinking, because it's really good to see Oladipo back, because people forget what an all-star caliber player this brother was. So it's really good to see him back, but you still got to find time for a sniper. You got a time. They shot, what was it, 7 for 35 from three-point range yesterday? You can't have that. Yeah. If you're the Miami Heat, you've got to be able to be a formidable threat from the perimeter. If you can't pull that off, you're not going to win this series.
100%. And I want to get to my pick in the series right now. Look, I've talked about the Miami Heat all season as being one of the most dangerous teams. I had them winning the series with or without Embiid when the playoffs started.
Right.
I'm going to change that pick.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Now we're talking.
You're entitled.
After these last two games, and again, maybe I'm getting caught up.
Because I said Philly ahead of time, and I know Philly's going to win, and I like the confirmation. And you're feeling bad about your pick right now. I know you're having a little anxiety.
The other thing Miami has to solve is like the non-Jimmy Butler minutes. He played most all of Game 3 and Game 4. I think there were 16 minutes he wasn't on the floor. They lost those minutes by 22 points.
Yes.
He's got for him, can he go 45, 46 minutes for 3 straight games, given the amount of playmaking
I will say this to you. I don't think he'll have to win one more game. I think he will need to win two
more, yeah.
So what I'm saying to you is that you probably will do that in Game 5 to assure Game 5. You'll take your chance.